Hey folks, it's Ardwulf. Welcome. We're going to do an unboxing video today. Now I'm kind of trying to not do unboxing videos because they're kind of empty of content and because people complain at too many unboxing videos. So I am going to save the unboxing videos for particularly special things that may arrive. One of the things that came in today is indeed a special arrival. I'm not even sure I can get this entire thing in the camera. So what we have here, once I get it unleashed, is a very large box. And those of you following me on Twitter already know what this is. I'll try and unpackage it without wrecking it. Possibly the biggest war game box ever to appear, and it's really quite heavy as well. What we have here is that World in Flames Collector's Edition Classic. Now, let me talk about World in Flames and what the current deal is. This also came, by the way, with counter sheet 55, which is the errata counter sheet. At this point, there's no good excuse for them to need an errata counter sheet. However, it was thoughtful of them to just include it without me having to ask for it. So that was awfully nice of them. So as you can see, this is about a 12-inch square box that you can't even all see. You can see how thick it is. That's 5 inches probably. It's crazy. So there are 3 different versions of this available right now. They did a Kickstarter a couple years ago in 2017, and this is the resulting new edition. Now, feel free to make all the jokes about the final edition, which came out in something like 2000. I have already made all those jokes. Think of it as a final edition in the same sense that Kiss has another farewell tour. I think I went to see Kiss in their 4th farewell tour. So, and the packaging here is fairly extraordinary. So there are 3 different versions of the game available at this point. Okay, and they're all the collector's edition. There's the classic, which is just the base game. I chose to buy this because the price of the other editions was really high. This is actually, I am speechless at how big this box is. Okay, this is, when you account for the exchange rate, only about 120 bucks, which is pretty crazy. And we'll see what's in it. I haven't personally handled any of this. You get a foam insert, because there's that much stuff in it, and it's a thick foam insert. Even in the collector's classic edition, there's quite a lot of stuff. So we get a couple of fairly nice Justice looking dice baggies, which I'll figure out did something to do with. And then we have a giant pile of stuff, and everything inside the box is shrink wrapped. The second version of the game is the Collector's Edition Deluxe, which contains the base game and 4 expansions. Now, those of you who may be familiar with the old Everything's in Flames expansion model for World in Flames, a lot of those early expansions have actually been consolidated into 4 expansions: Ships in Flames, Planes in Flames, Territories in Flames, and Divisions in Flames. I am probably going to end up buying Ships in Flames and Planes in Flames. Ships in Flames is kind of the one I want the most. It actually just about doubles the number of counters in the game. There's 1,800 counters in the game. There's 1,700 counters here, plus this thing. So we have a rule book. Now, the last edition, like I said, everything is shrink wrapped, and we'll open it all up. And then there's the Collector's Edition Super Deluxe, which is $599. That is Australian. I'll talk about that too. So it's not $600 US, right? It's for something US. They do have a US shipping agent, so you do not have to get your games from Australia. And I gotta tell you, it's Wednesday. I ordered this on Friday, and it's here already. And then we have the map set. Now, immediately, you'll see why the game comes in a box this size, because the maps are all mounted, which is kind of crazy. So let's bust some of this stuff open and see what we have. Now, a lot of folks, myself included, did not feel that the old World in Flames maps were all that attractive, the final edition maps. World in Flames is a game that I played quite a bit of in the 90s. And I got rid of my set because I didn't foresee me playing it at the time, so let's open the rule books first. And then I fell in with Wargaming Guys, and now there's a pretty good chance of me playing it. And the question of what is the best strategic level World War II game is a good question, and you'll get different answers depending on who you talk to. But you can definitely make a case that it is World in Flames. Now, I have several others. I have A World at War from GMT, which is, of course, the evolution of the old Third Reich, Advanced Third Reich, Rising Sun system. I have Axis Empire's Total Krieg. Those are good games, but World in Flames is really nice. So what we have here is you can download the rule book on their website, by the way. Looks like about a 96-page rule book. It is full color. It is glossy. There are not a ton of illustrations in it, but there are some. It's kind of on what I would describe as a heavier magazine stock. There is, like I said, you can download this on the website, minus illustrations. And then we have a stack of player aids. Looks like we get 5 of the player aid cards. So these are double-sized, so you've got some stuff on here. It's war chart. And some stuff on here. World in Flames also has a reputation as being a very sandboxy World War II strategic level game, and that is true, but it is less true of World in Flames played just as the core game without any of the expansions. And to be honest, I've said for a long time that I felt like you're better off just sticking with the core game, and then if you want particular expansions, you can by all means add those. So this is the Campaign and Player's Guide. This is the scenario book. They have added a ton of scenarios, not all of which you actually have the stuff to play, but you can play all the 1-map, 2-map, and 4-map campaigns, and then these World in Flames series campaigns are campaigns in which you could add in some of the other games in the series, which are Days of Decision, which is the pre-war political diplomatic game, and then Patton and Flames, which is the Patton's Dream scenario where the Germans are defeated and now we're going to go after the Soviets. I want to try and open this without destroying something, although I guess there's some ample room on the ends of the counter sheets. Now these are smaller counter sheets than we would typically see in a U.S. printed war game, or China printed war game for that matter. So here's the classic counter set, and I actually like that they shrink wrap everything. We have here is 8 counter sheets, so this is more counters than I thought there were going to be, actually. These should be 200 counter sheets. They are. So we have, 1,600 counters here. So here we have, they're quite colorful. Some people, I've always liked the counters. It looks like they went to maybe a thicker stock than they had before. It's white core stuff, but it's a little thicker than I think we typically see with white core counters out of, say, GMT. Here's your Germans. Here's some Axis miners, and these are your U.S. entry chits. I've actually started perusing the new rule set. For those of you who are World in Flames veterans, you may not recognize these are the Commonwealth. They went away from that super dark blue, which was hard to read, to a much more palatable and appropriate khaki. Here are your Soviets and some nationalist Spanish. Here we have the French and some more miners. Now, the 2 core expansions, Planes in Flames and Ships in Flames, I'm oversimplifying slightly, but basically they just add more ships and more planes. But what the Ships in Flames expansion does is the ship counters for the classic game there's multiple ships that are considered to be on that counter. The Ships in Flames ships, it's 1 ship per counter. So there's 1,800 counters in that, so it's pretty crazy. Here we have our Americans. And here we have our Italians, a little more Americans, and the Chinese. So that's the counters. Now, I've already spent considerable... oh, look at this. We actually get a little optional card here inside that wrapper. So this is an optional CRT that you can use, much like the alternate infantry fire table in ASL, where you can use it if you want. I probably wouldn't. So put this back for now. Actually, we'll flatten this out since it's a blade. Put this here. I've given substantial thought to how I'm going to organize this, and what I ended up buying was 6 of these Doris bead trays from Amazon. They're $6.25 a piece, and I've been using them for for certain games where I feel like they're pretty appropriate, and I might do something on that later. Look at this terrain effect. Here's your TEC, terrain effects chart. So all this is mounted. It's crazy. So these are like 11 by 17. And then these are the main play area maps. These 4 giant mounted things. There's no hope of getting all this in the box. I could probably do it, but it would be suboptimally organized, so I'm not going to. I'm not going to lay the maps out in this video, but I will give you a look at what this looks like, because they have, I think, made the graphics more aesthetically attractive than they were, specifically the mountains, which were always kind of like wah, and they kind of stood out too much. Otherwise, the map is clear. The hexes are good sized to fit 1/4 inch counters. This is the Western Europe map. For those who don't know and have managed to watch the video so far, this is a strategic level World War II game covering all of World War II, including the Europe and the Pacific. There are expansion maps for places like Africa and northern Scandinavia. So we get these other 2 additional boards, and they lay quite flat. So this is the sort of general records thing. Here's your general records track. Here's your impulses. I'm not going to go into that. That's kind of how the structure of the turn works. And then you have your production circle. Used to be a production spiral, much like you would have seen in War in Europe, but it's now a circle, and you just count it differently, and it works fine. We have Lend-Lease pool, reserve pool, repair pool, and construction pool. And very, very nice quality. And they, like I said, at least this one lays pretty flat. You also get, as part of the core game, and I think this was true in the final edition too, this mini map of the Americas. Now this does have a different map scale than either the European or Pacific maps. And to be honest, this could probably be handled just as well with a series of off-map boxes. But this does kind of give you an incentive as the Americans that, hey, you do have to keep some troops at home, right? Lest something stupid happen. So we have this America's map. One of the other add-on games is America in Flames, which gives you full-size America's maps. And that is the fantasy scenario in which the Axis, victorious in Europe and the Pacific, goes and invades the Americas. Which is, you know, not to sound dismissive about it, I mean, historically implausible, but it is just as the Western Allies versus the Soviets story. And again, we get like a errata sheet and some more counters, and just a piece of cardboard, thin piece of cardboard. So some of these counters may in fact be counters for ships and planes, planes and flames, or so on. This infantry specialization, those might be something for one of the other 2 expansions, I don't know. But we have some errata as well. So I played a lot of World in Flames in the 90s, like I said, and I got rid of it because I didn't think I was going to play it, and it had become fairly massively disorganized, so I gave it away and I pay it forward. And, you know, came to regret that, as you do. And this is the opportunity to re-add World in Flames to the Ardwulf's Lair collection. So this is just a bananas amount of stuff. I am very unclear as to how this is going to get shelved. This would be a great topic for a Wargaming Storage Solutions video, actually. So I hope you've enjoyed watching this. I'd like to do some more World in Flames video. There is other World in Flames video on YouTube. Steve Dolges has done several World in Flames videos, and of course Callendale has a long series of playthroughs So check those out if you are interested. But this has been Ardwulf, and I want to thank you for watching.